When visiting Europe, people usually go to the big cities such as Paris, Rome, and Prague. But to truly experience a country, you just gotta go to the more obscure places. And here are 3 obscure European towns you should probably visit or some shit. First up, on our stop, we go into the Czech Republic, aka now known as Czechia. Located in the northwest of the country, there is Karlovy Vary, aka Carlsbad, a town of less than 50,000 people and a shit ton of tourists, just like the rest of the Czech Republic. It was founded by Charles IV of Bohemia in 1370 as his vacation destination due to the numerous hot springs there. For the majority of its time existing, it was populated by Germans, up until Germany's world tour in the middle of the 20th century. Now it's filled with your regular beer drinking Czechs like the rest of the country. What separates this town from Prague is the atmosphere. The town is built on a smaller river called the Tepla and is surrounded with these beautiful colorful buildings everywhere you go. It's also a spa destination due to it lying on some thermoactive land, and everywhere you go you got these water fountains which give you some nasty tasting water.
Ovo je mlaka voda, brate, šta?
Pa da imaš vruću vodu. Jesi se napio sa korita Ivanova, di si?
Jebote, ali ovo slano.
Misliš?
Joj, šta je gadno.
But it's said to cure whatever the hell you got. So if you got cancer, pack your bags and head to the fucking doctor, not some goddamn thermoactive town in the middle of nowhere. The fuck is wrong with you? Anyways, here other than the hot springs, you can check out the Mill Colonnade, which essentially has more hot springs. It also has columns, that's cool. You also have the pedestrian zone, where you can take a walk and just look at the architecture, and then later at night have a wet dream about it. God forgive me for I have sinned. You can also check out the Russian church. The Russian church, you say? What the fuck is a Russian church doing all the way in northern Czechia? Well, I don't really know. The Wikipedia page just has this. I guess it was built by the Russian and Serbian nobility in the late 19th century, and it's the biggest Orthodox church in Czechia. And today Russian tourists use it, and that's about it. While in Karlovy Vary, you can also sit on the many cafes and restaurants and just enjoy a meal while you indulge in your surroundings. Because there really isn't much to do here. But it's a great place to just enjoy the beauty of its buildings and the surrounding nature, and just take a breather of grueling city life. Next up, we move down south like the Yankees in 1865 and reach Serbia, another Slavic country, but this time located in the world's most dysfunctional peninsula, the Balkans. When you visit Serbia, you'll most likely visit Belgrade or Novi Sad, or maybe even Niš if you're a tripster, but I guarantee you've never thought about visiting Topola. Located right in the heart of Serbia, no, not Kosovo, it is a town of less than 5,000 inhabitants. And you might be wondering, what in God's name is there interesting in a place of less than 5,000 people? It's wine. The answer is wine. Topola is a huge wine producer and has some pretty big vineyards. It was also the capital of Serbia during the first Serbian uprising against the Ottomans, and was founded by the leader of said uprising, called Karađorđe. There's also the Oplanec Church, which was founded by the King Peter I of Serbia. And there is the mausoleum of the Serbian royal family of Karađorđević, where you can get a pretty decent view. You also have the Karađorđe town, which is basically a walled up church with a museum that shows how things were back in the medieval days of Serbia. Which is pretty dope. You get to see the inside of the church and, you know, maybe light a candle for the deceased. Pretty much the entire town stands out as a sore thumb when it comes to royalty. You'd think that the royal family would live in a lush and architecturally stunning city such as Budapest or Prague, but then you go and visit Topola and see things through a different perspective, which is pretty refreshing from the standard. The town is located on a hill and you get that fresh country air, and you get to stroll through the town and just enjoy life in a simpler way. Finally, we go all the way to England. When people think of England, they usually think of London, and if you've been a long-time viewer of this channel, y'all know London is hella overrated, and you ain't gonna get that authentic British culture you're looking for over there. And thus we go to Dover, a town on the UK's southeastern coast looking towards France. It has a bit less than 40,000 inhabitants, but what it lacks in population it compensates in nature. First off, you got the Atlantic Ocean, which is one dope-ass ocean. You might not have sandy beaches, but you still got that ocean air which does wonders to your lungs. And you got the wind going through your hair and it makes you forget that things like the garbage patch the size of France is floating in the Pacific. Speaking of France, 33 kilometers across from Dover, you got Calais, this place. You get on a ferry in an hour and 30 minutes, you'll be eating baguettes and snails. Here I'd show footage of Calais, but I didn't get to go there due to me being short on time and having my family talk me into exploring London more, rather than going to France. Other than the ocean, you also have the White Cliffs of Dover, which are really breathtaking. They're just orgasmic to look at, and when you're on top of them, looking at the sea, you feel like the king of the world, or some shit like that. You also get to look at the wide open fields of the British Isles and enjoy the nature shown in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Speaking of that, there's also the Castle of Dover, which of course, like a bunch of castles in Western Europe, is charged for entry, but you can still have a good time climbing up the hill. Otherwise, you also got your typical British streets, which are pretty nice, and you got the pedestrian zone, which is just hella cozy. You also have a bunch of Roman and medieval buildings, which I was retarded in and didn't care to record due to thinking I wasn't actually gonna do this YouTube crap. So yeah, fuck me. And yeah, 3 towns which are pretty dope and deserve to be checked out. What do you think about these places? Have you been there? Do you plan to visit? Let me know in the comment section. My name is Nick and you've watched Living Ironically in Europe.